Relax, kid. I keep telling you, who is pedo?
That's what I'm trying to find out.
And I'm telling you, who is pedo?
Now, what is pedo?
No, what is national security?
I don't care about national security.
No, I don't care is running the FBI.
The FBI? What happened to the cover-up?
That's handled by I don't know.
Then who's doing the cover-up?
Scott, welcome back to the show. I appreciate you rejoining us.
Yeah, we defeated the internet gremlins, and here we are today.
Yeah, that's right. We always say it's the Communist Party of China, and they don't like what we have to say, and so them and the CIA are just meddling with our feed.
I hear you.
Yeah. So we were talking yesterday about Epstein and the backfire of the Epstein saga on the Democrat Party, and potentially how bad Republicans are at messaging this. You're a very gifted Republican messenger on CNN. How would you coach Republicans out of this mess?
Well, first of all, it's become evident that Democrats wanted this to be a story about Trump and Epstein. That's been the narrative. They're good at making narratives. They're not good at facts, but they're good at narratives.
Yes.
But everything we've seen and everything I think we're going to see is going to be a story about Epstein and Democrats. I mean, what do we know? We know Trump excommunicated Epstein from his life when he realized the guy was a total creep. But even after he was convicted, Democrats continued to be buddies with this guy. They sought his advice. He programmed members of Congress. They sought dating tips from him. They fundraised from him. And so I think we have to be relentless in pointing out the line of demarcation. Trump got rid of this guy. Democrats never did. And so that, to me, is the simplest way to frame this. Of course, I don't know what's going to be in the files. I don't know when the information's coming out. But what we already know, this isn't a story about Trump. It's a story about Democrats and their willingness to be friends with a sex trafficker for political reasons or messaging reasons or what have you.
And not just friends with a sex trafficker, being operated by a sex trafficker. I think that what the American public is really concerned with here, Scott, is that the worst instincts in this Epstein saga is that he was operating large swaths of our government, or at the very least had compromised a considerable portion of the government. And it just seems to be proving that with every single release. Everything from Mike Johnson saying it's a national security issue to release these files. Well, I mean, what is it, a hoax or a national security issue? It can't be both. But then also with Stacey Plaskett, man, straight up, you might as well just elect Jeffrey Epstein to Congress as a Democrat, put him in charge of the Democrat in the House, make him minority leader.
It's shocking.
Yeah, because he was just running. He was running this stuff, man.
Literally texting the guy. What do I say? What do I say now? Say this.
Yeah.
From his, he might as well have been a Democrat member of Congress. And I'll tell you something. I don't know if you saw it yet, but this Jasmine Crockett, she went on the floor of the House and tried to smear all these Republicans for supposedly taking money from Epstein. It was Dr. Jeffrey Epstein from New York. And she goes on CNN last night, and then she had the worst television implosion I have seen in 10 years. And so, look, this episode has put front and center some of the biggest Democratic failures. And I think oftentimes the best way to defeat an opponent is to let them talk. And so Stacey Plaskett, if they want that to be their person on Jeffrey Epstein, fine. I'd be glad to let her talk. If they want to let Jasmine Crockett explain Jeffrey Epstein to America, fine. I'd be glad to let her talk too. Sometimes we don't have to do much because they're doing it for us. But this thing that Crockett did, it was despicable. To go to the floor of the House and smear. I mean, by the way, she's now smeared a private citizen. But B, to go on last night and try to explain it, oh my gosh. I'm going to play it on my radio show. I'm going to play the whole thing. It's the biggest implosion I've seen in 10 years.
I mean, careful what you wish for, right? But you are starting to see that the voices of the Democrat Party are running through AOC, Jasmine Crockett, more radical wing. And it's a gift that keeps on giving. However, it's a gift that is winning when it comes to municipalities like New York. Right. So we're going to see Mamdani and Trump meet tomorrow. What are we going to see there?
Well, I hope Donald Trump explains to Mamdani how the world works. I mean, Mamdani says outrageous things. I mean, first of all, on immigration, he's clearly going to do what the rest of these Democrat local people have done, which is resist federal immigration enforcement, which will be a disaster for New York City. So Trump's going to have to talk to him about that. Also, I mean, saying he's going to arrest the prime minister of a foreign country if he comes to New York City. Well, I mean, again, this is not your job, brother. Like you're not in charge of international diplomacy. You're the mayor of New York City. So, the guy's never had a job. I'll give him a little grace, but I hope Donald Trump tells him how the world works on Friday. They do need to have some kind of a relationship, but my expectation of Mamdani is that he's going to do what every other Democrat mayor and most Democrat governors have done, try to resist the federal government and resist Trump at every turn. And so, I'm glad for the meeting, but I don't have any expectations Mamdani wants to do anything other than be the most radical version of these Democratic resistors that we've seen already for the last 10 months.
Yeah, you call them Democrat resistors. The most viral video in my feed right now are a bunch of Democrats saying that the intel agencies and CIA and Pentagon have to resist Donald Trump. They need to resist the administration. They need to hold out. They need to not follow orders. We saw the same thing at HHS, yet none of these people are ever called insurrectionists. Scott, why is that?
Yeah, that video, first of all, I've been asking for 2 straight days, what illegal orders are you speaking of? Don't follow illegal orders. Has there been one ordered? Has there been one given? No one has been able to produce an illegal order that I know of. So this is sort of a made up alternate reality. And I don't know whether they're actually sending a message to the military or they're just trying to send a message to their radicalized base that we're fomenting, sort of the resistance to Donald Trump. Either way, this is horrific. I mean, this is everything they said Donald Trump ever tried to do encapsulated in one video, as it relates to insurrection or anything else. And so I was stunned by that video. I know I'm the same. I've heard from tons of people who were stunned, ex-military, couldn't believe what they were seeing out of these Democrats. Again, I go back to what I said a moment ago. Sometimes letting them talk is the best thing we can do. I think most average people would see that and think, what are you talking about? What planet are you living on? You want the military to disobey the commander in chief? Do you know how our government works? And so I don't know. I think in their zeal to gin up their radical base or to try to please their radical base, they are putting themselves farther and farther away from, frankly, just average everyday people who sort of know how things work. And that is not how things work.
We're gonna see more of AOC. What do you think? Do you think that the 2028, 2026 and 2028, do you think that the Mamdani party, the strand of radical Democrat socialists, is going to completely reanimate the corpse of the Democrat Party, and that's just going to be the future, and it's going to be MAGA versus Marxism? Do you agree with that contention?
100%. Look, the most popular Democrat in the country right now is Mamdani. I saw some survey data on this the other day. He's the most popular Democrat in the country. He's out quoting socialist candidates for president from 100 years ago. He's the most popular Democrat in the country. She is the front runner for the Democratic nomination. I have no doubt of it. I mean, yes, the beating heart of their party is this ideology. It is this radicalism. And so you see all these other Democrats who aren't really authentically that way. That's why they made that video. They're trying to keep up. They're trying to catch up with her. They're trying to ride that jet stream, and they look sort of ridiculous in the process. Mamdani can't run because he's not a natural born citizen, but she can. And I have no doubt she is their front runner. I'd be shocked if she doesn't run for president, and I'd say she's going to be difficult to beat in their primary. They stopped. It's interesting. They went through this in 16 and 20, and they held it off. I don't think they're going to hold it off again.
Wow. So they're not going to be able to Bernie. They're not going to be able to say, "Hey, Bernie, okay, here's a book deal in a private island. Here's your third house. Just stop talking about."
I think Bernie, he's their intellectual god. I mean, look what Biden did. He got elected sort of promising to be a moderate deal maker. Like, oh, I'm an insider. I'll bring people together. It'll be moderate, whatever. And then he outsourced the entire agenda for 4 years to Sanders. The intellectual godfather of their movement is Sanders. The operator is AOC. And those are the two people that are providing the energy in their party right now. That's who people on the left are responding to. They're not responding to so-called moderates or normal people or whatever. I mean, the person they call moderate in Virginia that just got elected governor still wants to put boys in girls' locker rooms.
Yes.
That's not moderate. Okay. No. It's not moderate.
I think it's going to backfire, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. It's been pretty radicalizing to watch how the left has shifted from Bernie Sanders on some issues. Like Bernie Sanders 20 years ago was a close the border, build the wall Democrat because he understood populism and he understood that you had to support the American worker. Now we're seeing these maps out of Charlotte. Let me pop one up for you. Everyone is able to see the benefits of mass deportations, sort of what the show is about today, and going through how many of these large metros get so significantly better when ICE comes in and starts enforcing the laws. Do you think Republicans will be able to sell this?
Absolutely, because it's not only a national security and a public safety issue, it's an economic issue. I heard you talking to the senator before I popped on here about how we're going to talk to people about housing. I'll tell you one thing: when you remove the illegal alien population, it alleviates pressure in housing. I mean, if you bring in 20 million people, guess what? They live places. They compete with Americans for housing. You take illegal populations out of a situation, they're not competing with American citizens for housing anymore. So that's one area where I do think you can see connective tissue in a political campaign. Because of our work on closing the border and deporting, housing prices are going to drop in a lot of places in this country. Also, crime is going to go down. I debated this on CNN the other night. Up in Upper Charlotte, they've had a massive crime issue. They've had a murder rate increase up there. Some of it is due to MS-13. It's a human trafficking hub. I mean, Charlotte needed to be looked at. I think everybody who lives there knows it.
Yeah.
And so what the Democrats are doing is they're doing the same thing again. Well, actually, crime is down. Actually, nobody who lives there believes it. Nobody who lives there believes it because they know the truth. And so I don't know. I think for the midterms, this immigration issue is it's not a standalone. It's connected to so many things. It's connected to national security. It's connected to economic security. It's connected to housing prices. It's connected to wages. It is the core of what got Donald Trump engaged in presidential politics in the first place. It's why they elected him. And it is the biggest promise that he has kept. And it is connected to virtually everything else he is doing.
You're so right. You're so right. My schools are too crowded. There's too much traffic.
Yes.
Prices for the grocery store is too high. Gasoline's too high. My electricity is too high. My housing prices, my rent prices, all of it. I don't feel safe on the streets. All of it is connected to criminal immigration. All of it.
Yes.
Every thread goes right back to that.
And as a political matter, I mean, go back to the beginning. It's what motivated his movement to begin with. It's why people elected him. It is still his biggest and best issue. We haven't had an illegal border crossing in like 5 months. We had hundreds of thousands of people coming across. In the book that I have out this week, A Revolution of Common Sense, I do a lot on immigration. And he hit this thing hard. Especially here in the second term. And of course, the Democrats did what they always do. They reflexively resist everything. You were talking about Bernie Sanders 20 years ago. That party is gone. They are all in on illegal immigration, up to and including a U.S. senator going to El Salvador trying to retrieve a member of MS-13 and bring him back to the United States. And so all of their energy is behind things that to the average person sounds crazy. If we're common sense, they're uncommon nonsense. But on the immigration issue, they took they didn't accept any resistance. They went right after it. They're still going right after it. I'm very proud of them. And by the way, they are facing a propaganda campaign on this like we have never seen. I listen to it every single night. What they say about ICE, how they describe ICE enforcement, the way they describe these stories and these interactions, it's almost entirely made up. It's almost entirely fabricated. ICE is, how many laws have we passed, Benny, since Trump took over? 0. We have not passed a single immigration law. We are simply enforcing immigration laws that are currently on the books and have been on the books for years. This is the President of the United States upholding his oath of office to faithfully execute the laws of this country that have been in existence. Biden told ICE, don't enforce the law. Trump says, just enforce the law. And hey, novel concept, it's working.
You just mentioned here that you have to listen to it every single night on CNN. We have a treat for you here in closing, Scott. Some of our favorite expressions of you on CNN that our producers have grabbed. This is called the patience of Job is what this is called. And there's more. Let's just there you go. I don't know how you do it, bro. This one's good. I like this. This should be your Christmas card. This is I don't even understand this one.
That lady right there. Let me tell you something right now. She's out there.
Yeah. That is a very Klingon expression. Let's continue here. Yep, that's good. This is great. This is part of the reason we wanted to have you on the show was to just get to see if we couldn't elicit some of these expressions and to say, well done this week. Here's Scott and the President here in the Oval Office with his book, his brand new book. Common Sense, a revolution of common sense, and how Donald Trump stormed Washington and fought for Western civilization. Any stories from the White House here, Scott, in closing?
Yeah, saw the president. I got a pretty good tutorial on the East Wing construction, and I got learned a lot about that while I was in there, and he was talking a lot about. I mean, there's always people coming and going, and there were a lot of issues under discussion that night. He was actually on his way after I left to the McDonald's thing, and which I still think is one of the greatest campaign stunts ever pulled. It was so brilliant, and the fact that he went back to it a year later. But he was. Look, I think he believes they've done a lot. He's been an amazing foreign affairs president. He's done a lot domestically. He got his entire domestic policy agenda passed in the big, beautiful bill. And yet he keeps getting sidetracked by these propaganda campaigns, by these distractions, and so on and so forth. And I know it's frustrating to him. I still think he's the best salesman in American politics. And so for the Republicans in 2026, yes, there's a lot of policy things we got to do. I think the housing thing you're working on is brilliant to reach people because it is a crisis out there. Yes. Now the Affordable Care Act is revealed as a total failure. There's a chance to attack on that. But at some level, we just got to get the salesman in chief back out to the American people and talk to them and draw the line. Here's what we're doing and here's what we're for. Here's what they're for. What we're for is common sense. And by definition, what they're for is uncommon nonsense. There's nobody better at explaining it than him. It's how he defeated them in 24. He drew the line. And now he's been governing. But at some point, we got to get back into sales mode. I have a lot of confidence that he's going to do it. But we don't have a better salesman than him. And he'll, if we are to win in 26, it will be on his back and his political steam.
Boy, is that a matter of fact. Doesn't this Epstein saga prove that the Republican Party can be cudgeled, can be destroyed by something of their own making? I just can't believe how dumb it is. Also, if this was that damaging, then why didn't you do it while Biden was president? It boggles the mind. Like, why couldn't Republicans push for this and use it as an alternate wedge against Democrats? It's a genius tactic, actually, what they're doing right now. They don't have a foot to stand on, and it's all upheld by propaganda, but it's amazing to see just how neutered our Republican Party, certainly in the House and in Congress, can be. Okay, so final question here, was the greatest salesman in the Oval Office able to sell you on running for Senate in Kentucky for Mitch McConnell's seat?
We did not discuss any political. Actually, you know what? We did discuss one political campaign. We discussed Kentucky's 4th congressional district. He was interested in. I lived there. Thomas Massey's my congressman, and he was just kind of interested in how things were going on the ground. So his interest in Kentucky was revolving around. He loves the guy running against Massey. He loves Ed Galrine, who he met with recently and endorsed. So that was as it related to Kentucky. That was what was on his mind.
The great Scott Jennings with a brand new book out. Here is once again the Amazon link for A Revolution of Common Sense. It is a #1 bestseller right now and probably a perfect stocking stuffer and Christmas gift. Ladies and gentlemen, we could all use a little more common sense. And thank you, Scott, for bringing it every single day and fighting for truth and the American way on CNN. Into the heart of the dragon, into the belly of the beast. The great Scott Jennings. You can follow him here. Godspeed, Scott.
Thanks, Benny. Appreciate you, brother.